Welcome to the hot seat. This session is an opportunity to be a part and a witness, but also be part of the entanglement as with someone's session that they have working on. We don't know what the topic is going to be. It will be up to you to choose what the dynamic you want to work on. We have 4 applicants for the session. So how this session works is that we are going to go through the participants. They're going to share their story in under 60 seconds. And then you're going to go into a vote. Who would you love to see in the hot seat? They're going to jump in the hot seat with me. We're going to do a session together around 30 to 40 minutes and work on the highest priority challenge that they have going. Now, there's a reason why you're also here as well. So it might not necessarily be exactly the same dynamic in your life, but there might be something that is similar for you, that you're also going through something in a similar dynamic. There might be some insights and lessons and learnings with that, their situation and what I say or what they say. So you want to make sure you still have your pen and paper handy, take lots of notes. It is also interactive in terms of if you have a question, you think, oh my gosh, that would actually be really interesting to go down this path or that path, then you're also welcome to comment. If you hear something that's really interesting, you're also to comment in the chat section as well. Or if you're listening to the recording, you can comment in the comments below. So we have 4 people. So let's get started. And at the end, we'll do a wrap up and and I'll share some information with you. So Rora, let's start with you first. So what's your biggest challenge that you have that you'd love to work on today?
Try and feel a little bit nervous. So I have just separated from, well, not just, about 7 months ago, separated from the most intimate, loving, vulnerable, I suppose, relationship that I've had. And just a couple of weeks ago found out that my former partner has moved on and has a new woman. And so I would like to work on alchemizing the grief that I feel over that, for want of better words.
Perfect. Well, thank you for sharing. Sarah.
Yes, so I'm struggling with anorexia for about 10 years. And since 3 years, since 3 years, I try to gain weight again. But since then, I have a lot of bloating issues and a lot of discussing problems, and they are so extreme that I can not really gain weight more, and I don't know how I could handle this, and have a long way after me and with a lot of doctors and therapists and everything, but nothing helped. So I'm a bit hopeless what I could do, or if there's any help. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for sharing. Matt.
Hey guys, what I would really love to work on is I've been a carpenter for sort of 10, 15 years now, and one of the things that when Tan asked me like what I'd like to work on is there was a period when we had our kids and we were sort of homeless for a bit, and I really like to work on the fear, because I don't want to do carpentry anymore. Like I've reached a point where I actually can't do it anymore. Physically, I just don't want to do it. And the thing that kept us fed and got us out of a really bad space was my carpentry and stuff. And so I want to feel like I can actually provide for us and move into something different. If that makes sense.
Yes, thank you, Matt. And last is Pavel.
Hi, everyone. I would like to work on this strong feeling of apathy and discouragement that keeps me from picking myself up and proceeding towards my goals in my life and towards my mission. And also keeps me from doing the work by myself. I do it with colleagues or coaches, but I'm not doing it by myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Pavel. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, team, is on your screen, you'll see that there is a poll. Let me just save it with the details for you and launch. So you get an opportunity to vote once for one of the participants. So you have Rora, who's having her separation with her relationship. There's Sarah with anorexia and trying to gain weight, but has the bloating issues with that as well. Pavel for not taking responsibility for his progress, as well as Matt having fearful of not providing while changing, not being able to provide for his family while he changes career. So which one do you resonate with most? Which one would you love to see with the transformation most? So I think there's still 6 people to vote, and I definitely need, yeah. So I'll just wait for the last 2. It's a tight race. Okay. So it's Pavel. Not taking responsibility for his progress and needing help along the way. So, team, if you haven't been chosen, that there'll still be a lesson and learning in this for you as well as a participant watching in. So also just note that still stay engaged, and there'll be something in this that you can take away relative to your own dynamic. So what I'm going to do is, Pavel, if you can pin me on your screen and make sure that it's just you and I, so you just see you and I together. So the reason for that is because I just want to be able for you to focus on me to focus on you. I've also done the same. And then make sure the chat is closed so that we can, I'll be reading the chat as we go along, but don't pay attention to it. I just want you to focus on just you and I together. So team, where I'm going to use and apply the Demartini method with Pavel today. So it's what I am specialized and trained in. So I'm master certified in the Demartini method and have been applying the method within myself since 2009, and I became trained in 2010. And so it's my love. I find it very, it's a beautiful process to be able to shift your perceptions, change how you feel, and also then change your behavior and your reality as a result. So I'm curious if you have had moments in your life where you perceive you're not also taking responsibility for yourself. So if you resonate with that, I'd love to know in the chat as well. So you can also privately or publicly message me. Okay, so Pavel, we've got 30 minutes together. Just so I can clarify, what's the biggest, what would you like to have as a result or an outcome at the end of our time together?
I would like to have the courage and drive to, as I said, pick myself up and wake up in the morning and take responsibility for my life. Because now it feels like I'm kind of scared of not fucking up.
Okay, you're going to hear me pitter-patter team as we go along, because I'm just going to take notes. So of anything that's interesting, want to circle back to or I'll remember in our session. It also helps me to keep very present. So, and when you say you want to have the courage to take responsibility, how is your irresponsibility or lack of responsibility showing up for you now? Just so you can paint me a picture so I can understand what's happening. So how are you demonstrating a lack of responsibility?
I'm doing the bare minimum, work-wise or personal-wise. Having lots of apathy, and I feel pretty discouraged.
Discouraged from what specifically?
Around my work, I'm a coach.
Mm-hmm.
It comes and goes. I'm grateful that I have the power and certainty to do my sessions, so I'm not canceling sessions. But I'm not going out there to find new clients. And in my personal life, it's more or less the same. Like, again, what comes up is I'm avoiding to fuck up.
Okay, and what does fuck up look like?
Hurting myself, hurting people that I care about.
Yeah, and has there been a time where you perceive that has happened?
Yes, it's around the separation from my wife.
Okay.
And the separation from the woman that I want to live together with.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that, because what I hear, there's a few things, and then there's a few things going on. There's showing up and doing the bare minimum. There's the feelings of apathy, which are that are triggered from a number of different things. There's also perceiving to be discouraged as a coach. Then there's also, I'm not bringing in more clients and serving them. And then there's the pain of kind of avoiding fucking up again and hurting someone. But if we come back to the original, which is the courage and drive to take responsibility. So let's get clear on that, because I don't want to go too far off track, and I want to come back again and stay on that like lack of responsibility or taking responsibility. I just want to kind of understand that for you, because it will give me better understanding so I can know which path to take. So can you describe again, like, how the lack of responsibility is showing up, or not taking responsibility is showing up the most, like the part that's challenging you and affecting you the most?
It's part that's affecting me the most is not trusting my capabilities, and being fearful of getting proud, and feeling more that I am.
Yeah,
which then takes me to
it has the humbling, they have what goes up must come down at some stage. Okay, so if we go and focus on like not trusting your capability, how does that relate to you not taking responsibility? Just bridge that gap for me so I can understand.
I'm as I said before, it's just I'm taking on just what comes towards me, not going out to get some more, but more importantly, there's something else. There's a lot of suffering, shame and guilt towards the action that I just mentioned, towards my wife, and or also towards my clients, that I perceived I didn't serve well enough. And I feel like I'm not doing enough, like doing the work by myself. Like I kind of feel safe or comfortable in this situation. I would also try to add that I've done some benefits of this state, and what came up was one of the most important, more important ones. It's being a people pleaser. I can easily say no.
You can't easily say no.
I can in this state.
Oh, okay, I understand. Because of the apathy or the being,
Yeah,
in this state right now,
it's harder for
that
me
you get to see. So team, just side note, I like to dive into the story and all of that because it gives me a lot of content. It gives me a deeper understanding. I'm also trying to find what if you imagine like a big ball of mess, which is kind of like what Pavel's giving into me right now, which I love, your mess. And there'll be a beautiful message in it. And so what we want to be able to do is like find the thread that's going to, if we pull it, it's going to give the biggest benefit for Pavel to get the most out of the session today. And so if it takes us, 5 or 10 minutes to get there, it's going to be very helpful for us in the long run. So stay with us. So if you said you're not doing the work by yourself, if you did the work by yourself, do you perceive that the rest of that might start to unfold? Like you might be able to trust yourself and trust your capabilities and then work through any proud dynamics that show up and being able to dissolve shame and guilt if you were able to do the work by yourself.
Yes, because I'm having a lot of time that I'm, I don't know, wasting, quote unquote, on watching TV series or.
Okay. So would that give you the self-responsibility then to do the work on yourself by yourself? And that would be being able to then take more responsibility.
Yeah, that's what's giving me now a little bit of tears and
okay.
chills.
Perfect. So let's do that. So this might resonate with you as well, where you know that you could be doing more work or just doing the work on your own, and you might resonate with that as well. So this is the opportunity for us to go into that. So Pavel, I want you to
Can I add something?
Of course you can.
There's I don't trust myself to doing it by myself, probably.
Yeah, that's the feeling that you get as a result of not doing the work and not taking is the lack of trust.
Yeah, if I'm doing it by myself, I'm gonna go in the wrong direction. That's one of the feelings that I'm getting.
Okay. So first of all, we're going to break a label. So because there's a label that you've put on yourself that you haven't been able to take self-responsibility and do the work on your own and trust yourself that you got an outcome. So it's a label that you've put on yourself. And then if we see one side of that label, i.e. the part that we are not taking self-responsibility, not doing the work, not trusting ourselves, you stack all of those moments, or you over exaggerate those moments, or you have a search for those and you ignore the other moments. What happens then is, of course, you're going to feel maybe a sense of apathy. If you stack up so many of them, you're not going to feel so great about yourself. So what we want to first of all do is awaken moments in the time that you have done personal development of where you've done the work on your own, you've taken self-responsibility and you've trusted yourself and you've got the outcome that you were seeking. So I want you to recall moments and get really present in each of those moments. We'll go through them now.
When I've done it by myself.
By yourself, that you've taken the responsibility of self, you've trusted what you did and you had the outcome.
So I took half an hour to stack up benefits on my own last week, Thursday.
Perfect. And Are you certain in that moment that you did the work, you took responsibility, and there was an outcome there?
Yes.
You had some real shift or realization. Yeah, something shifted for you. You felt different at the end.
A little bit, yes.
Okay.
And
It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be massive. It was just a little bit something. Yep. So, okay, great. So go to another moment of where and when you have perceived yourself to take responsibility, trust what you did, the work you did, for an outcome.
I'm gonna try this one. It's a moment where I tell a colleague that we've been working together. She is basically in the situation of my wife. I'm in the situation of her husband that left. So I was telling her I'm grateful we can work together.
Yeah.
To understand our dynamics.
Perfect.
Better.
So are you certain in that moment?
Yes, but we've guided ourselves, but there were moments where I made parallels, and by understanding my situation better, I could better understand and guide her through her process.
Okay, great. So I appreciate that one, but that's other related rather than you related. So I just want to go back to, I want to find another moment. So, I mean, that's still a moment, but I want you to find a moment where you on your own, there was no one else around, that you took self-responsibility, you did the work, you trusted yourself, and you got the outcome you were seeking.
Obviously, there's no moments.
Yeah, which is the perfect question to be asking. And so team, if you resonate with this and this is something you're like, oh, that's me too, then I want you to, while Pavel's also thinking of his, you can also think of moments in your life and start jotting them down as well. You can also participate in this.
Okay, before this session, I took time to clear as much as I could what's most challenging for me.
Yep. Yep. So are you certain in that moment that you took responsibility, you did the work, trusted yourself, and there was a outcome? Doesn't have to be gully washing and huge heart open, but there was a shifting in your mindset.
Yeah, I took the time to make it clear.
Okay. How long have you been doing personal development for, Pavel?
Demartini work since 2019. Prior to that, I did therapy for 6 years.
Okay, so we've got a few years to look through. So tell me another moment of where and when of that whole time that you have perceived yourself to take self-responsibility, do the work, trust yourself with the outcome.
Okay, a moment comes to mind. I was listening to video on YouTube, and it was talking about the law of order, the parents coming first, and then the kid. So how it's helpful to know and keep that in mind. And the work that I did was take that into my life and acknowledge that my parents that I was judging are the big ones and I'm the small one. So
Mm.
I'm not there to judge them, which took me to a place of gratitude and appreciation for them.
Perfect. So you're certain in that moment that you took self-responsibility, did the work, and trust yourself with an outcome?
Yep.
Okay. So let's also remember that the work shows up in different ways, shapes, and forms. I was speaking to someone and they were sharing how when they were applying the work, they actually then went for a walk. And while they were walking, they were still thinking about things. And that's when something really landed for them. And so it wasn't sitting down with your Demartini method form and writing all the answers out. It was just a working process. I just made that up, but you get what I mean. It's like an active participation in applying the work and doing the work, taking self-responsibility, but it's just this inner dialogue that you have going on about something. Maybe you're in the shower, maybe you're cooking, maybe you're just going for a drive and you're like, oh, actually, what is that? And then, so tell me moments like that where you've, oh, is that you, Matt? Taking personal responsibility to do the work. Yep.
I have two moments. One, I was coming out of the shower and something hit me. I don't remember what, but I was by myself and I cried on the side of the bed. I kind of made a small pond.
Okay, and you're certain in that, I feel that one. You feel that one, team? Like, I just want you to sit with that one for a moment. This isn't because for us to say that this is one that I'm working on at the moment. So for us to say that you've got to apply the Demartini method and you've got to sit down with your form and you've got to do it this way and you've got to fill out all the boxes and do all the work that you need to do. But what we are essentially wanting to be able to do is how do you integrate it into your everyday life? And that's what you've just realized right now, is that that's an integration of the work into your life. That's taking self-responsibility, but it's not showing up in a way that the ideal way that you think it needs to, but doing in a way that works for you. So I want you to find another moment of where and when you've done that. We'll call it a walking moment.
I was walking on the lakeside 2 years ago. I was listening to one of his webinars. He was talking about criticism, and what he said. He said, no one criticizes you if he doesn't feels like you can crack it, and if he doesn't care about you. And that's when I cracked into tears and I had to sit down and cried for a little bit.
So sit with that one for a minute.
Because I had mom who was criticizing me and telling me I will not be able to do anything. So
certain in that, you feel that one, team. It's like also being able to change the inner dialogue that is your mother inside of your head, sharing this about you and being able to transform that. So, and love that. So you're certain in that moment.
Yep.
So tell me go to another moment of where and when you have done a working, taking self-responsibility to do the work, trust yourself to get the outcome. Think about being on airplanes, while you're like post-event work that you've done.
all the times when I work with clients and I see something and I say, it's just an idea, I might be wrong.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, but let's stay on you. Where it's
Okay.
something you found a moment in your life about you. The reason for that is because it's great to find in others how you've helped someone else, but it's really not really relevant for now for you to be able to take self-responsibility. So I want you to find a moment.
Let's say in that moment I'm taking care of my pride, so I'm trying to detach from my pride.
So I want you to find a moment. I want to find another moment, a moment that you're on your own, doing the work on your own with no one else around, where you've been able to take self-responsibility, do the work, trust yourself with the outcome. Think about the big moments you've had. Think about when you're driving, maybe when you're
Driving. Thank you.
Mm.
I was driving to a workshop and I was in a very low state, kind of depressed. And I was fearful that my colleagues would see that and would reject me. And that caused the pain in my chest. I checked, I thought it was the muscles, but it wasn't the muscles. So probably it was a pain in the heart. So what I did was I was driving, so I didn't close my eyes, but I focused my attention there. And I said to that part, I said, okay, I accept you. I see you. What's your fear? And the response I got was, I'm going to be abandoned. And I said, I'm going to be here for you. If
So
you'll be left.
sit with that for a minute, because first of all, it's having the awareness is taking self-responsibility. Asking questions is taking self-responsibility. Answering the questions is taking self-responsibility. So can you certain in that moment, the layers of self-responsibility were all there. It's acknowledging. Oh yeah, isn't that funny? But maybe then this is also something that could work here as well. Just acknowledging this is where you're at right now. So if given the moments we've found so far, are you certain that you've had moments that you have been able to take self-responsibility, do the work, trust yourself with an outcome?
Yes, I had moments. I'm not certain that I had some in some years.
Okay, let's find some more then. So tell me, where and where else have you taken self-responsibility, done the work, and trusted yourself with the outcome? Think about nighttime when no one else is around. Think about when you're exercising, I don't know, sitting in a sauna.
there could be a moment where after doing constellations work and discovering a part that didn't get attention at 8 years old, I asked the following day, I got back to that part and asked, what do you want to do? And it's a response, I want to spend time with my friends. So I talked with a friend that day.
Mm-hmm. So certain in that moment, taking self-responsibility.
Yep.
Great. Let's find another moment of where and when you've taken self-responsibility, done the work, trusted yourself with an outcome. Think about this year. Think about when it's financial. Think about when it's something to do with family.
And it could be a moment where I visited my mom and I thanked her for all she did for us, for
So
me.
it could have been, or it was.
Yeah, it's taking responsibility to thank her for what she did and tell her I love her. And even if I'm not totally there, it's sharing what I've got at the moment.
Okay, perfect. So pick another
which
moment.
Which is mine to share.
So you're certain in, or hang on, are you certain in that moment? That's self-responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Another moment of where and when you've taken self-responsibility and done the work. Let's look at finances. Where have you done that financially and done the work, trusted yourself with an outcome financially? So whether it's been financial burden, some kind of financial challenge that you've gone through, even as is raising your finances, where and when have you done it financially?
When I had challenging times financially, I decided to cut off some expenses.
So you're certain in that, it's taking self-responsibility and doing the work, but the work isn't the mindset work, it's just taking some action. So certain in that.
Yep.
Perfect, great. Go to another moment. What about when you had your ending of your relationship or relationships? So go to a moment there that you took self-responsibility, you did the work and trusted yourself with the outcome.
Okay. After 7 months of separation from my wife, after being alone because after separating with my wife, I stayed 3 months with the other partner. And then therefore I was alone for 4 months. I proposed my wife that we divorce. So that's when I took responsibility of that.
So I just want you to sit with that one for a minute. The ending of your relationship, that's a big self-responsibility. That's taking big
what minimizes it is that I perceived I was in a high state, but still something I did.
It is, yeah, something you did. It's something you did, regardless of what state you're in, you still did it. So it's taking responsibility for that action, Pavel. It's not deflecting it and saying it was my mental health state that made me do it.
Yeah.
It's taking full responsibility.
Another moment is after a month, because in Romania we have a month. You make the request and then you have a month to think about it. So when we signed.
Well, that's really quick, because in Australia it's 12 months. So you gotta be separated for 12 months. Yeah.
We're more decisive in Romania.
Yeah, it's just like, let's just get it done. Just get it done. Yeah. So tell me, go to the moment there.
A year. Could be the day we signed the papers. I told my wife I want to thank her for the time we had together.
So that could be a moment, or that is a moment.
I took responsibility and I thanked her. So yeah.
Okay, go to another moment, where and when you've perceived to take self-responsibility. Because this is a big one for you, Pavel. Like, if you're saying that I'm not even sure if I was meant to end my relationship because I was in a high state, that's not taking self-responsibility. So tell me moments of where and when you've taken self-responsibility, because no one else can be responsible for you but you. So where and when have you had moments where you've been self-responsible? You've done the work.
When I told my partner that I want to separate,
the
one that I was with after my wife.
Okay. And did you do the work on that? On your own?
I was the one who said that, so I took responsibility for that.
Okay. Okay. So I want you to find a moment where you've taken self-responsibility for your mental health. A moment where you've gone, my mental health is my construction and my destruction. Like, it's my creation, and I'm also destroying it as well. So I want you to go to a moment where you're like, I'm creating my mental health in the way that it is.
Asking for help from colleagues to work on stuff could be one.
Nope. I want to find where you have acknowledged that you have it on your own. It's not with someone else involved. So, because I want you to take self-responsibility when no one else, and acknowledge moments where you can do it when no one else is around, because that part of it, the context, is actually really important. You might not have a colleague around at 3 a.m. in the morning when you're really struggling and feel like, oh, well, I can only take self-responsibility for my mental health when I have someone else around that I can lean on. Well, I want you to find moments where you've been self-responsible for your mental health and the construction and deconstruction of it on your own. You've gone, I'm responsible for my inner thoughts, my feelings, my experience of my life.
I'm trying this. It's in a conversation where usually when someone talks about their friends or their relationships, I'm going like, oh, I don't have those kind of relationship or friends. But in that moment, in my mind, I went, okay, so if this person is talking to me is my reflection, therefore I have what she's talking about, and I started to pile up.
Okay, so you're certain in that moment you were taking self-responsibility, doing the work, trusting in yourself to get an outcome.
Yeah.
Certain. Okay, great. So go to another moment. Let's not dodge the question though, where you've taken self-responsibility for your mental health.
When I decided to go to take walks into the forests.
So pick a moment where you pick a specific moment where you did walk through a forest and you did take self-responsibility for your mental health. I want you to find a specific moment, because if you just say, general, it doesn't.
Yeah. So it's, can't remember if it's Friday or Saturday evening. Yeah, it's Saturday evening. I took a walk into the forest and I went barefoot. I can feel the ground and the grass.
So how is that taking self-responsibility?
It's putting my body in motion that helped me clear my mind.
Okay, so it actually got you out of bed, moving, taking self-responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
It actually helped me be a better coach with a colleague that we were doing body coaching. Guys, I did it from the forest. Once down.
So when else have you been able to stand up, move, and that in itself is taking self-responsibility? Like it's not, maybe doing a lot of the mental processing, but it's just moving your body, getting out of bed, feeding yourself, going for a walk, where and whenever you had moments where you have taken self-responsibility, done the work in physical exercise or movement.
It's the first time that I went into the forest and I took the part of the hill that was the steepest one. It was like, okay, let me go uphill and at least physically take the challenge.
Yeah. So
physically.
Sit with that one for a minute and just see yourself at the bottom of the hill, knowing that you could take an easy option, but you chose the harder option to do the work and to change your body state so you could change your mental state. So are you certain in that moment that was you taking self-responsibility to shift and shake something change something in your body, in your mind?
Yeah, I have a moment where I stop and lean on a tree with my back. And I'm like, okay, let me take a couple of breaths and then continue.
Yeah. So again, that's taking self-responsibility, not turning around and doing half of it and leaving. So you said, so pick another moment. What about when you got to the top of the hill?
I got to the top of the hill the first time. And I didn't know there was a panoramic point from which there's a beautiful view. There's a monastery down into the valley.
Change your perspective of things.
Yeah.
Is that not just a metaphor for doing the work?
Yeah.
But sometimes you do the work.
That's why I chose the steepest part. It's like, okay, let me at least physically go the harder way.
So what happens if you did that for doing the mental work as well and go, I'm going to take on the challenge? I know it's going to be hard. Sometimes I'm going to have to stop and rest, and sometimes I'm going to have to lean against a tree and just take a breath, but I keep on going. And what happens when you get to the very top? An uninterrupted view. Uninterrupted from the thoughts, the pebbles on the ground and the dirt and the trees and all of that. You get to the top and you have an uninterrupted thought pattern. Isn't that just a beautiful metaphor for applying the work?
Yeah.
So you're starting to feel it shift, Pavel. Maybe not completely shift, but shift, and knowing that you actually have had moments in which you've done the physical work, the mental work, you've spoken to people to do the work inside of you. So, what I find beautiful about this is maybe we're not, because we're kind of getting closer to the end of the hot seat. So what's actually going to be really beautiful for you is, for now, we've got some movement and some change and some shifting within you. So the beautiful thing now I see is you being able to take self-responsibility to complete the work on your own. And maybe it's about setting a challenge that's big enough and inspiring enough, or even if it's not big enough, it doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't have to be like Mount Everest. It can just be a little hill that you go, I'm just going to do 20 minutes a day, or I'm going to move my body and then do it while I'm walking and working. And so then you integrate it into your life, as opposed to feeling like you have to sit down and do it. And maybe that will also help with applying it, that the application of the work shows up in many different forms. It shows up in having a conversation with someone. It shows up in while you're driving. It shows up while you do it when you're on a spreadsheet. It shows up where you're just typing benefits and drawbacks on your phone. It shows up when you do a session. There are many different ways that you can apply the work. There isn't one way and a right way or a wrong way. It's just a way that fits and integrates into your life, which is what you want it to be. So instead of feeling something, it's like you have to go exercise, which some people are like, oh my God, I don't want to exercise. But if it meant walking and talking and doing it as you go along. I know one of my clients a long time ago bought one of those old-fashioned dictaphones, and just found that talking to that was actually therapeutic in itself, and being able to do some of the healing because they could listen and then re-listen to what they said, and then kind of understood themselves more because they could hear themselves. I know that Matt's given a suggestion of maybe journaling as a way to, if you're a writer and you like writing, and I mean, you've got to find your form and your way of doing it and applying the work that works for you. So how have you found today, Pavel? What's your biggest takeaway from today?
Having found all these moments where I took responsibility gives me more courage, awareness where I do that already.
So I'm going to encourage you to keep on working. Now that we've got the ball moving, now is the perfect time. Once we wrap up, I would stay where you are if you want to go for a walk, find that hill again and go for a walk, and just keep on processing more and more and more moments until you feel like actually it's possible for you to do. But I want you to find it where, because the context is really important, that if you find it where you do it with other people in a group environment where everyone's doing the work, or you do it when you're in a coaching session, or you do it when you're in a training program, it's not what we're looking for. Because the reason, if you do that, then you still feel the need to do it with others. And what I hear from you is it's the moments of apathy that you have where you're laying in bed and you're Netflixing all day, and you go, okay, and that's that self-responsibility that needs to wake up for you to go, okay, I'm going to stand up, I'm going to get out of bed, I'm going to take self-responsibility for my body and my soul and my mind and everything and my life, and just do the next step. If that means going for a walk, if that means doing the Demartini method, if it means just finding benefits or whatever it is, like doing something that helps you to just take that next step, that self-responsibility. But we want to do it solo on your own, because that's, some of the things that we have to remember is when we're doing this work, all of this work, if I think about my now 14 years of doing on average a line a week, very rarely has someone sat with me and did the work with me. I've been a very solo, which I get that not everyone's like that. Everyone's different. I definitely prefer more these days to do it in a group than I do on my own, but I still do it on my own. But all the work that you do on your own, where you slog away and you do your mindset work and no one else is seeing it, no one else is witness to it, that's like, you've got to be able to be prepared to do all the inner work and no one to slap you on the back and say how amazing what a great effort you did. I'm so proud of you, whatever, like all of that stuff that you get, the accolades. It's like, are you prepared to do all of that without the recognition? Are you prepared to do that without someone telling you that you did a great job, and do it anyway? That's what you want to be asking yourself. So thank you, Pavel, for sharing your inner world with us. I know one of the questions was, does it usually take this, from asking a question and then it being some time between asking the question and finding it? And everyone's different. So everyone processes differently. Everyone's depth of charge is different. Everyone, the degree in which, all the stickiness that kind of surrounds the charge is also, that depends. Like the resistance that happens around the emotional charge that we're working on. So yes, it can have, because essentially what the resistance is Pavel's resistance to his greatness. Each time he's like, I'm taking ages to see it. He's taking ages to see his greatness. And so when we minimize ourselves so much, then it can take time, but you have to love and embrace that time. Because most people are like, oh, it didn't happen now. Like, your 2-minute noodle kind of experience. Well, I wanted it like straight away. And it's like, are you prepared to sit there? Like Pavel, we did, I don't know, maybe 12 moments altogether, but Pavel started to feel a shift. He'll go and do some more work. Maybe he'll find another 12 in the work that he does together, on his own in the next hour. And so there's 24, there's another shift. Maybe it'll take 3 or 4 hours, maybe for some things to really fully shift. Yeah, then you think, my God, why would I sit down for 3 or 4 hours, do one thing? I got so many other things I need to do. And then on top of life in general. But it's like, how much is this worth it? Like, how much is, for example, taking self-responsibility worth it to you? What's a few hours of your time versus the impact that would have on the rest of your life, because you're choosing to take self-responsibility for your mental health, for your actions, for being more proactive at work, or changing and doing something different and going, I'm not going to sit here for another year and say the same story again. Now's the time. I'm going to go do something different today. And every little small step that I take is that self-responsibility in the direction that I actually genuinely want to be. So it might take me a year, it might take me 5 years to get there, depending on what your change in trajectory is. It's like going to Mars versus Venus. You got a little bit of distance and change there. But if you're prepared to do the work every single day that leads you there, then you could have the life that you truly love. It's just going to take work to get there. So therefore, you have to be able to embrace sometimes the pause or the slowness or the arduousness of this work, or the far out, this is hard and this is tough. Yes, it is. But it's, are you willing to do the work anyway, knowing what's on the other side? Or in Pavel's case, what's at the top of the mountain that he didn't even know was there, to be able to appreciate that view. So one of the favorite quotes by Louise, she shared, is, can you love yourself enough to do the work? And that's something that I feel like, oof, it's like, can you? It's like, instead of doing this, like, I love me not, I love me, I love me not, I love me, I love me not. Why not just go do the work so you can deeply love you? Jamie said, which we've got to love Jamie, because Jamie's a young, going into his, stepping into his life. And I love this, which is, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Jamie, that's for you as well. And knowing that, are we prepared to step into that power? Walking and doing the work is fun. It's active, activates your gates and both sides of your brain. I definitely have found it really beneficial. I found it, like, I was sitting on the airplane. I flew back from Melbourne on Sunday, and I was doing the work because we had transformation day that evening, and I was doing some inner work on something that I was already working on. So I was thinking about it, and then I just had this, like, so I'm just sitting, because we're on the airplane, we're flying or whatever, and Bonnie's doing her coloring in, and so I'm like thinking then, and I had this like breakthrough, and I'm all teary, and I look at Bonnie, and Bonnie's like, oh mama. She's like wiping her tears, my tears from her. And so it's just like, can you do it just in your everyday? So it's not like it's integrated into your life, and more so it's integrated into your thinking. That's what you want. And Pavel's already shown experiences of this, where he talked about how he's in the midst, and this person's sharing this story about having, lots of friends, and he's like, oh, well, that must be a reflection for me, because, there's the mirror there. Whatever I see in others is in with me to the same degree. So it must be in me. Where is it in me? And that's the integration of the work. That's where we want to get to. We don't want to have to continually sit down and do line after line after line. We want to be able to, how do we do this and apply it into our everyday life? So you can, Pavel, and maybe everyone else as well, just take one of the questions, which is why we do maximum growth classes each and every week, is because we apply a couple of the questions each and every week to give you that opportunity to then throughout your week focus on that one or two question, that you can apply that in your life, get that repetition and that understanding of how to ask the question for yourself, apply it throughout your 7 days. You do that, and we repeat all the column questions. There's 14 of them over a 2-month period. So do that for a full year. Your whole life can be changed and transformed as a result. So if you have ever wondered and wanted to come in and be a part of the Maximum Growth community, come in and do our regular group coaching classes with the community, we have a very inspired community, then you can check out the link below, or you can check out the link in the chat. And we have a 14-day money back guarantee. So if you want to just come and dip your toe in and it be something that interests you, then you can come. Like today, we just worked on column 12 of the Demartini method, which is dissolving our exaggerated labels and perceptions that we have on ourselves. We just worked on that column today. So hopefully you found lots of benefit. I'd love to hear from you. What's your one takeaway from the session today? I'd love to hear from you, Pavel.
May I just thank you, and who voted, everyone who didn't vote, and everyone who kept the field for us to work and for me to open. Thank you so much, Tanya.
That's okay. And then curious, for those that were waiting, or that had applied but didn't get in, how was that? I'd love to hear, like, if you wanted to share some of the maybe realizations or learnings that you had, would be great. Louise says her realization is that we can do the work in many forms. Yes. in many forms. It doesn't have to be. I'm a bit of a geek, love a spreadsheet, love boxes, love ticking stuff off, you know, which is maybe potentially why I've kept all my forms, the Demartini method forms. Hillel was, it was beyond my expectation, and I am for sure it will be helpful for a lot of people. Beautiful. Matt said, oh yeah, we went through that all the different situations that we can directly apply the Demartini method. Beautiful. So thank you so much, team, for coming along for the hot seat. We have this every couple of months. So if you want to jump into the hot seat, you can apply, or you know someone who maybe is going through something that you think that could value from attending or also participating. Feel free to also share the link with them so they can also register and apply. And then if you haven't already checked out, we have all our hot seats on YouTube, so you can go back and scroll through. One of my favorite is definitely the death of a mother and how she died due to medical malpractice, and that's definitely one of my faves. If you haven't seen that already, go and get your little eyeballs on that. So thank you so much. Carmel says, I resonate with this process of being a part of our life, like you're on the plane with Bonnie. So thank you, beautiful. You're most welcome. All right, team, so thank you so much. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of the day wherever you are in the world, and I look forward to seeing you at the next perfect time. Thanks, team. Take care. Bye. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Paul.